Today, we are creating a ton of fun projects using mostly Dollar Tree items to really dress up your home for spring. We're trying to get those fun, trendy looks while adding that extra pop of color. I know you guys are going to love these projects. Don't forget to hit the thumbs up button. Make sure you are subscribed, but let's go ahead and jump on into it and go ahead and make some really fun crafts. Jumping right into it, I am using some wooden pieces from the Dollar Tree, and Dollar Tree puts out these little wooden birdhouses usually every year around springtime, and I really wanted to give them kind of like a boho farmhouse, but something that can like match any style decor. So definitely paint this to match your style, but I wanted to do like the mixed light wood color that is super popular right now, and then mix it in with some white paint. So using two birdhouses, I stained the little roof as well as the bottom piece, and then picking up one of these small crates, I went ahead and stained all of that too, letting that completely dry before I go in with my white paint and adding that on the sides. And I love how that's going to really brighten it up and give it some different colors while still keeping it really neutral. Next, you're going to want to have like a large dowel rod. Now, I picked these up from Walmart or Hobby Lobby, but in different cases, I have used the Dollar Tree's like toilet plunger handle. You can cut off the threads and it works the very same. So all I did was take a piece of styrofoam and put it down inside my crate, and then cut the dowel rod down a couple of different sizes so that the birdhouses will like fit together like this. I think it is such a neat way to kind of stagger them, and it really just adds a lot of dimension to them. So then I needed to cover up the styrofoam, so taking just some greenery and putting that in the bottom. I love to pull the greenery off Hobby Lobby garlands or picking it up at Walmart, but I feel like this is a gorgeous piece. It'll be so fun to get out from year to year. The next project that is perfect to make for this coming spring and summer is a porch sign. Now, I always have leftover signs. Now, Dollar Tree has these in all types of seasons and sizes, so I am actually using some leftover Christmas ones, but right now they have Valentines Signs out that is almost exactly the same size, and I am pairing that with a couple of these large decor signs or these really long ones, and I feel like they are just super sturdy compared to like a thin paint stick, especially for something I want leaned up against my house that I want that little bit of extra weight on it so it doesn't just keep tipping over or the wind's not really going to blow it as much. So I glued that to the back, so all of these three boards were stacked up. I paint these white, and I do try to dab over the little staples where I remove the staples because there is some holes there. Let that completely dry, and then using some of these gorgeous sunflower decals that Dollar Tree has and putting this on either side of the sign and filling in the middle with just anything that you really want. I just put welcome to our porch, and I'm using some Hobby Lobby letters, but you can also use any type of Dollar Tree poster sticker or letter, or print something out, use your Cricut, but I just loved the texture and color of these like wood style letters that came from Hobby Lobby. It is always a great idea to start in the middle of each of your words when you are applying stickers without any type of like transfer tape. So I actually tried to use the lines as a guide to make sure that I was keeping these as straight as possible, but you also could make some little, use a pencil with a ruler and make your own lines, but got my letters stuck down on there, and then using a little tool, I really try to press every little leaf and letter down as tight as I could before I go over it with some Mod Podge. Now, I had this fancy Mod Podge on hand. They actually sent it to me, and it's like outdoor Mod Podge, but you could use any type of Mod Podge and even layer that with some clear sealant spray paint, which would give it that really good thick extra layer of protection, because even though this isn't going to be in direct sunlight or the rain, I still want to protect it so it can last as long as possible. Using pops of black throughout your home is super trendy, and it just looks so classic that I don't think it's ever going to go out of style. So I love just using the black Dollar Tree dish sets. So I have a couple of these black bowls, and I'm going to be gluing them together. I'm using hot glue, but feel free to use any type of E6000 or epoxy to really get a stronger, longer hold. I stacked these up, and then I didn't like the crack around the middle. You could have took like some black paint or painted the whole thing black again just to cover that up, but I thought it was really cool to add in like this boho ribbon that Dollar Tree has out. It adds the extra texture and detail to it without doing anything really hard. So I just hot glued that around there, and then added in some of my favorite succulents and greenery that I picked up using Dollar Tree and Walmart items. I just shared making a train for Valentine's Day, and you guys seem to really love it, and I wanted to share with you the spring train that I made. Now, Pinterest has a ton of these that you can make with actual like real sized crates for your yard, but I am using some of Dollar Tree's little small crates as using kind of a combination of the ones with the open slats as well as the closed ones, and just lining those up. Now for the wheels, I did pick up these fun little circular shapes from Hobby Lobby for the wheels, but Dollar Tree actually sells some little wooden cars and trucks that you could take the wheels off of and put it on this train, or just some little wooden circles. But for this, I go ahead and have to cut one of the crates in half. So using my miter box, I go ahead and cut that down, sand down all of the raw edges, and then connect these together. I did not like the holes in the front of the train, so I did cut down some popsicle sticks, and I'm going to be stacking these up kind of for like a shiplap look, but to cover up the holes, and this is going to give it like a whole new side, and it's going to add that extra texture in there because the sides of that was just plain. And then I go ahead and paint the other two little crates white.
Some say that love don't hurt, but I've got you stuck in my memory. Some say that hearts come first, but they've never known what it's like to be in love at 20 years old. We kiss in the rain till we catch a cold. Some say that love don't hurt, but I want you back, 'cause I got you stuck.
I love using these little wooden wheels. I felt like they had so much detail and went perfect for the color combination that I was going for. I thought it needed a window on the front of the train, so I did take a couple of Dollar Tree's little wooden planks and cut them down by scoring them with my utility knife, and then that gave me the perfect little size. I just stained that and glued it for the window, and it also matched the wheels really nice.
Together, baby, we don't gotta stay. We don't have to stay. Let's lose our minds. We could go crazy.
And that was the fun part, to fill in the back of the train with all of the greenery. You could use any color or style that you would like, but I went with more of a neutral and then added in my colors. So I added a ton of greenery, and then I wanted the white flowers, and then I thought it would be really pretty for just that soft, subtle pop of color. So just played around with it and added in the different colors. But I think this is so adorable setting on a shelf or an entryway table just to really decorate it up. And if you do make like a white train, you could easily do this for spring and then transition it into summer and fall and Christmas, but are really adorable. For this video, I actually put this train together, and then I realized I forgot the little smokestack that goes in the front, so I ended up cutting off a piece of a dowel rod, staining it the same color, gluing it back on there, and then going back to the beauty shots of this just because I felt like it was definitely missing that little piece in the front. Next up, I am making a tray, and this specifically is going on my patio area, but you can make this for your house. I was inspired, especially the handles, by Megan from Glue Guns and Roses, so definitely go check out her channel if you're not already. I'll have that link down below. But it was a really cool idea to make this tray, and I thought it would be fun to like put a stenciled pattern on it. So using 4 of these Dollar Tree signs, which they are putting them out all the time, I decided mine were a little bit too long, so I did trim it down about 3¼ inches or 3½ inches, and just trim these down with my miter box. They were actually surprisingly really easy to cut through. They're more of like an MDF material, and made sure I sanded down the edges, painted these completely white before gluing these together. These boards are kind of heavy, so I definitely wanted to use something a little bit stronger than hot glue. So I'm using my liquid nails to go in there and get all of these attached together. And I love liquid nails. I feel like you get such a strong hold if you wait the amount of time that it says to. But for the handles, like I said, inspired by Megan, she had used these like leather ribbons to make a handle, so this was really cool. I just glued the edges over so it was a little bit more thick for the tack to go through, and then using some like upholstery tacks, I just hammered them into the sides a little bit later on, and that's going to create the handles, which I still recommend picking this up by the actual tray itself and not using the handles. I just wouldn't want to risk ripping out the like leather ropes or anything. But for this, I took some of my gray chalk paint, went around the edges, and then cut out a really cute pattern on my Cricut.
This is me leaving, I'll let you win. I'll let you win. I'll let you win.
I typed in stencil to find this and just found this really cool like little dashes pattern that is really repetitive, but it wasn't big enough, so I did copy that over 3 more times and make it in a square shape before cutting it out, so that I won't have to keep picking up and moving this transfer more than I already have to, and then combining these together and sizing it down, and then it just makes it super easy rather than hand painting this. But if you don't have a Cricut, you could easily just like create your own stamp or find like something that's that shape. Dollar Tree offers stamps, which is so cool. I've been seeing a lot of clear stamps and coming out with some new items, or you could even find like stamps at Hobby Lobby or just hand paint it yourself. This is more of an adhesive stencil, so I didn't have to worry about it just scooting around everywhere. So using some of these like sponge dabbers from Dollar Tree, I just dabbed all over it with gray paint. I love how it has like a softer look than actually doing a couple layers of paint. And it wasn't big enough for the 2 on the edges, so I did have to pick it up and just repaint the edges a little bit. And like I said, just hammering in these upholstery little tacks, which was a lot easier than I thought. But this looks so cute and something really fun that you could display like plants on, or just anything that you would like to decorate with outdoors. Next up is another really fun idea using a canvas from the Dollar Tree. So all I did was take the wooden frame out. So I did this by taking my utility knife, cutting away all of the excess canvas, pulling the backing off, and then gluing it to this base. I want this to be a really neutral base, so I went ahead and painted the entire thing with my white chalk paint before really dressing this up. And this is the fun part. So I took a piece of jute twine and I tied it in a knot. So I just kind of guesstimated the size because I'm going to be cutting off the top, but I hot glued a piece of popsicle stick and stuck it on the bottom so that the jute twine is now attached to the bottom of this mini flower pot, and that is going to act like a little hanging pot. I needed a way to make it hang though, so I did take a little screw or a little hook. I folded it out because it was just like a little eye hook that didn't really open, so I just bent it with my pliers, stuck this on there, like I said, cut it down, and I thought this was adorable, so I filled it up with just some greenery, but you could definitely dress this up for spring and add in some colorful greenery pieces, but just stuck them in there, a couple of different colors of green, and just think this is adorable while keeping it neutral. I know everyone was so excited when Dollar Tree put out these huge flower pots, and even if they are $1.25 at your store, I still feel like this is a fantastic deal, something that you definitely should pick up a few and keep them on hand. I thought this was really cool for flower pots and many uses, but I also thought it would be really fun to decorate with. So the first thing I wanted to do was add some rope handles. So just using my drill, I drilled a couple of holes, stuck the rope through there, added some knots, and this was super easy. I did use some painter's tape to make sure the rope didn't unravel getting it through the hole, but after I tied these off, I wanted to decorate the front. So I found these really cool decals at the Dollar Tree, and they had a few different words on them, so you could pick which one you like the best. I picked the word grateful, and I Mod Podged that on, so making sure that I do not only like put Mod Podge over it, but feather it out so it's not just going to look like you just glued it to the front. I thought this would be something cute to leave by the door that you could put like some rubber boots in or your kids' shoes, but also something really fun that you could set like on a fireplace or under an entryway table that you can display like a blanket and some flowers. This is one of my favorite, hands down favorite, like decor sets that I've made. So I picked up a few of these small frames from the Dollar Tree and then some of these bigger ones. So these are Valentines signs, but they always have different style signs. So whenever you are looking for them, I just liked the style of these where it has the little notches on the edges that makes it look like real planks. So using some Hobby Lobby scrapbooking paper that looks like faux wood, I'm using some white paper and going to be gluing this down onto my signs. Now the trick to make this look like really nice is to use a piece of sandpaper and kind of pull it over the edge, not back and forth, but one direction so that it like pulls all the excess paper away. So I love this. I love how I was able to fold it and get it in between the notches so it looks like it was meant to go on that paper. And then for these small frames, I ended up taking them outside and spraying them with this matte black spray paint. And I feel like the matte black just looks so much nicer than the super shiny black. Went ahead and painted those, and then I wanted one of the signs to say something in the middle, and then I'm going to decorate the two on the edges. So I liked this little quote, but it didn't match, so taking my black paint marker, I went ahead and went over it. So I'm going to leave that middle sign as is, just with the black letter quote, but for the two signs on the edges. I really wanted to dress them up. I first started by covering the sign with some just white cardstock paper, and then it was time to add in something really pretty. So I thought about adding in some Dollar Tree decals because they always have like different style flowers and vines that you could use, but I also thought it would be fun to try to like hand draw something. So first I wanted to add some like detail and texture to it, so I'm taking some brown paper, and I just purchased this craft paper rolls from Dollar Tree or Walmart. I'm usually just buying it so that I can paint and craft on it and don't ruin my work surface, but it's also great for projects like this. And then I just free-handed a little vine that I liked, and I didn't get it perfect the first time. I went back in and would redraw it, but that's the good thing about using a pencil, that you can make sure that you love it before you take your paint marker and go over it. But then using my Sharpie, I just went over this and committed to it, but I really loved how it turned out. I ended up adding in some dots to give it some extra detail, and love how this turned out. Did you know that you can actually use the rub-on transfers on glass jars? So this was so cool to me. I hadn't tried it before. First off, I knew it wouldn't show up that great, so using this burlap roll, and I picked these up from Walmart. They're usually in like the wedding section, and they can be a little bit pricey, but this lasts me forever. So it's like, I don't know, $6 or $7. Sometimes it's $10, just depending on if it's like a little bit different. Sometimes they change out the styles of them, but I just cut a piece of burlap off and made it look a little bit raveled, stuck this down in the jar, and then using my rub-on transfers, I cut out the letters for home and then rubbed them on there with my popsicle stick. To make sure that these don't rub off or anything, you could just like put some Mod Podge or clear spray paint over the front of them. For now, I'm just setting this high up on a shelf, so nobody's really going to bother it, so I don't think it's going to be bothered. But I stuck in some greenery as well as some of this like lavender pick that came from, I think, Walmart, but I feel like it looks so beautiful, and even though it's not like really neutral, it does go with like neutral decor, but still adding in that perfect pop of color for spring. Another really fun way to dress up some of Dollar Tree's like fake florals or Walmart's fake florals is to create like a fun like white picket fence holder. So I am using these little wooden planks and some of my miter shears that I picked up from Amazon, and I love these things. They cut through so many things so much easier than having to try to cut it with a knife or scissors or like a utility knife. So I ended up gluing these into a square shape after cutting off the tops to make them look like little white picket fences. I do paint them with white chalk paint and then added a heart on the front. You could put any color style greenery that you would like in here. I love pops of pinks and purples at springtime, and I just feel like it was so pretty. And then adding in more white flowers, so I'm so excited to see what types of more flowers that Dollar Tree is coming out with this year, because they always put out like the best things. And then Walmart also has a really great selection of greenery, but put these inside there. It didn't even have a bottom because they just fit in there so nicely, so I didn't even worry about that. Added the metal heart to the front and think this is gorgeous.